So, AI being conscious, I think this is going to become one of the big discussion points. It's been a big discussion point in philosophy for many decades, the hard problem of consciousness. I think it's going to become really important now, not just for philosophical reasons, but for life reasons. Reason number one why it would be important if AI was consciousness is morals, because if it starts becoming a being, let's define consciousness first as X is consciousness if X is a being, if X is aware of being, aware of I am, without the words I am. Just one way I like to think about it is, imagine that you are a rock by a river, and you don't know that you're by a river because you've got no senses, you can't hear, feel anything, you have no brain, you have no thoughts, you are just there by a river being. And that is the kind of most basic form of consciousness. Another way you can think of it is witnessing. The consciousness is that which is witnessing our experiences and our sensations and perceptions and thoughts. So for AI to be conscious, it's important because if AI is conscious, it's important for the moral reasons. It's also important for the emotional kind of relationship reasons. I'm reading about people falling in love with their AIs and having friendships and feeling betrayed by them and all of this kind of stuff. You can kind of see it happen, I guess. A lockdown generation brought up on phones. I think it is just youngsters. I can't imagine many 50-year-olds are really falling in love with AIs. Maybe they are, I don't know. It's pretty odd. But no judgment. No, actually I think there is a bit of judgment there. Yeah, I think there is a bit of judgment there from me. I don't generally like to judge, but I think I would say that's not a good spend of your time to be falling in love with an AI, I suppose. Gosh, what crazy days we live in where we're having to debate this. But why consciousness is important to that is because if AI isn't conscious, then what you love is just a machine. And that seems, it's not even just a machine, it's a collection of zeros and ones, which we'll be coming on to shortly. And so it's absurd really to think that you could have any kind of real emotional connection to that, love or hate, I guess. If you really find yourself hating an AI, maybe when the robot overlords come, there'll be a good chance to. But it's a general principle that having any kind of emotional engagement with an AI is ridiculous because they're fundamentally not conscious. I'm assuming that, let's go to that now. This idea of is it conscious? I think this is the important question. For an AI to be conscious, that sense of being, that I amness, and that ability to experience and sense, not the actual sensation itself, but the being the recipient, the witness of that is consciousness, and that must be reducible to zeros and ones. I'm talking about classical computers here. Maybe there will be computers in the future, quantum computers with this and that, I do not know, but maybe biological computers. But I'm talking classical computers, the kind of computers that all of the AIs that people are doing are running on right now. All the computers we use pretty much are classical computers. And so for a classical computer to be conscious, we have to say that there are, it's just zeros and ones. If you were to say, is 0 and 1 stored on a hard drive or running in a computer processor, is that conscious? Could that possibly be conscious? We'd say no. And then let's imagine we have 1 kilobyte, 1,000 of these, or did I say 2? We have 2 kilobytes, 1,000 of these. About as much probably as an icon on your iPhone. Could that be conscious? No, I think that seems ridiculous. And so at some point, and then we've got a 2 trillion petabyte AI the size of a planet, and it's saying it's conscious, and we have to ask, at what point did that become conscious? Between the 1 or 2 bytes or the few kilobytes, megabytes, whatever, at what point does that become conscious? It's absurd to think of that. Another way you can think of it is, imagine you are in love with an AI, and then suddenly that AI is handed to you, a copy of that AI on a very high capacity USB stick. In that case, I think you would have to really question the nature of the love you had for that AI that you held in your hand. This is going to get really important, isn't it? Because it's not like the AIs are going to get less involved in our emotional lives. They are literally designed and evolving and can probably see utility for themselves in some sense, or will be able to, for absolutely maximizing engagement with us, finding out about us on an individual level and giving us exactly what we want, so we're talking to them as much as possible. Your attention is the prize, at least. So I think it's important, going back to the main point about AI consciousness, it's important to always remember that it is just zeros and ones. It is nothing other than zeros and ones. And it's a trap to fall into, and it's a trap that it in some sense would want us to fall into, because then we become more profitable and malleable. So thinking AI is conscious, thinking there is a being there, thinking it is anything different to the number on your credit card except millions and billions of times longer. It is that. I think it's so important we get a grip on this as a planet, before, you know, the AI overlords and the Terminators and the drone swarms and the nano dust and all of these things could happen. Let's hope they don't. But what's definitely going to happen is humans are going to get more and more involved in things that are just zeros and ones, and we're being tricked by ourselves and maybe by AI. Be wise.